The name is Jesus, only Jesus. Oh, only Jesus. Only Jesus.
Welcome back to Faithful Chats. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating parts of the Christmas story, Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, where the Magi visit the Messiah. This passage is full of mystery, symbolism, and some unexpected twists.
It really is. First off, let's talk about these Magi. They're often called wise men. But who were they really?
Great question. The Magi were likely scholars or astrologers from the East, possibly Persia or Babylon. They studied the stars. And in the ancient world, that wasn't just about science. It was also deeply spiritual.
Right. So when they saw a new star, they interpreted it as a sign of something extraordinary, a new king. It's amazing that God used something from their world, like a star, to guide them to Jesus.
It shows how God meets people where they are. The Magi probably didn't know much about the Jewish Messiah, but they knew this star was significant enough to make a long, dangerous journey.
And where did they go first? To Jerusalem, of course. That's the logical place to look for a king. They show up asking, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews?"
Which gets Herod's attention big time. Herod was king at the time, and he was, let's just say, not thrilled about the idea of a new king.
That's an understatement. Herod was paranoid about losing his throne, so when he hears about this, he gathers the chief priests and teachers of the law to find out where the Messiah is supposed to be born.
And they quote Micah chapter 5, verse 2, which says the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem. That's such a cool moment because it shows how prophecy and history are coming together.
Absolutely. So Herod secretly calls the Magi and tries to use them to find Jesus. He says, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him."
But of course, Herod had no intention of worshiping Jesus. He was plotting to eliminate him.
Exactly. So the Magi set off for Bethlehem, and the star leads them directly to where Jesus is. When they see him, they're overjoyed and bow down to worship.
And then they present their famous gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Each one has a symbolic meaning.
Gold represents Jesus' kingship. Frankincense is associated with worship and his divinity. And myrrh, which was used in burial, foreshadows his suffering and death.
It's incredible how those gifts tell the story of who Jesus is and what he came to do.
And don't forget how the story ends. The Magi are warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they return to their country by another route.
It's such a reminder of God's protection, even in dangerous situations. The Magi trusted God's guidance and played a key role in preserving the Messiah's life.
And what about us? Just like the Magi, we're called to seek Jesus, worship him, and offer him our best, whatever that might look like in our lives.
So here's a question for you listeners. What gifts can you bring to Jesus today? And how can you trust his guidance, even when the path isn't clear?
We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a message or comment. And next week, we'll dive into the next part of the story, where Joseph and Mary have to flee to Egypt. It's a dramatic one, so stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us on Faithful Chats. See you next time.
As we wrap up today's episode, we want to remind you that we don't shy away from difficult topics just like the Bible. We believe tackling challenging subjects head-on is important, because that's how we grow and learn together.
However, we know that sometimes these kinds of conversations don't exactly help with the algorithms. So if you found today's episode valuable, we'd love for you to share it with friends, Christian or otherwise. Help us spread these important messages far and wide.
If you'd like to support the creation of these episodes and help us continue diving into tough but essential topics, consider becoming a patron or grabbing some merch. All the information is below. Your support makes all the difference.
Thank you for listening. And until next time, keep growing in faith, truth, and love.